privilege to welcome His Excellency, the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to Qatar, and amidst all of us. Welcome. I welcome him on behalf of the Indian community here in Qatar. Sir, today we have this virtual interaction where we have some eminent members of the Indian community here with us, joining us live, as also this interaction, which is also being broadcast, streamed live through the social media platform and also through the radio channels here, through which many of the listeners here in Qatar and outside are also listening and joining us. So today we have the chairmen of the apex bodies of the Indian community, the Indian Culture Center, Dr. S. Manikantan. We have Mr. Babu Rajan, the president of the Indian Community Benevolent Forum, Mr. Hassan Chogle, president of the Indian Sports Club Center, and as also Mr. Azim Abbas, the president of the Indian Business and Professional Forum. As also we have members and eminent Pravasi Bharatiya awardees with us today from here in Qatar, Mr. Sitar Raman, the CEO of the Doha Bank, as also Mr. Captain Tiwari from Dhara, and also the ICBF itself, the first recipient of the Pravasi Bharatiya Saman Award, as also Mr. Hassan Chogle as an awardee. As also we have, sir, the representatives of the Indian Women Association, president of the Indian Women Association, as also the doctors, the nurses association here in Qatar, as also representatives from the North Indian Association, from Rajasthan, from Gujarat, from Odisha, from Bengal, from Jammu Kashmir, across spectrum, from Karnataka, from Tamil Nadu, from Kerala, from Maharashtra. So it's quite a mix of group we have on live, sir. Everybody is looking forward to hearing your views, your address today here in Qatar. Once again, warm welcome to His Excellency, the External Affairs Minister. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Ambassador. Good evening, friends. Good to see you virtual. But perhaps keep that social distance. Let me say that really pleasure to meet all of you. Begin my visit to Qatar. I came in this morning. I have a number of official meetings tomorrow. It's always to meet with the community, know sense of the pulse before I get down to my official meetings. This is a standalone visit. I've come from India. I'm here today and tomorrow, and I go back tomorrow night to India. And the primary reason I came here at this time was really to thank the government of Qatar, starting from His Highness, the Emir, for the support and care that they have taken care of, of our community during what has been a very, very difficult time. You know, during this pandemic, in many ways, uh, different countries, different societies, different people expressed their priorities and their interests in different manners. And I must say, it has been a very encouraging experience for us in India to see, how countries like Qatar have responded, and it was something, the Prime Minister also recognized in his August 15th address from the Red Fort. So I would certainly, I do want to thank the Qatari authorities for everything that they did during this period. But with all of you, I also want to thank all of you, because the community here took very good care of itself in the best sense of the term. That whether it was charter flights that you helped arrange or the Vande Bharat missions for which you did the organization at your end, I think it is a source of not just satisfaction but a pride for us that our community organizations and our community leaders uh, have really worked together and managed what has been a very difficult situation from away from the homeland. So a big thank you on behalf of the Indian government from me to all of you. And I also want to recognize the services which many of you have rendered yourself or through your organizations for the situation in Qatar. I mean, if there were doctors and nurses who helped Qatar to respond to the pandemic, they have actually through their work, I would say, raised the prestige and the reputation of the country. So how that's really made a difference in many ways. We have, of course, in India responded also in a very generous and I would say uh, sort of wholehearted way to the global nature of the pandemic. I think many of you would be aware that we sent out medicines to 150 countries. We actually sent out medical teams in many cases. We allowed health workers in some cases to return to their jobs, taking exceptional efforts to facilitate that. So, not the COVID naturally has been a very scarring experience for everybody. But I think even in that difficulty, I would like to see the plus points of that experience, and certainly in how many of you have worked together here. I think I see a very big plus point, and that's something I want to say upfront to all of you. Now, with Qatar, we have a historical relationship, we have a contemporary relationship. It's been a very strong relationship. I had the privilege of accompanying the Prime Minister when I was Foreign Secretary when he was here some years ago. Since then, there have been regular exchanges between us. In fact, very recently, the Prime Minister spoke to His Highness the Emir, and the my visit in a way is a shall I say a precursor for what we hope will be a normal year in 2021 and a resumption of the kind of close contacts and exchanges that we should have. Uh, I began my visit here with a meeting of a business roundtable, and again, the reason I did so was to underline the message that we consider economic cooperation very much a foundation of the contemporary relationship. And I was quite pleased, I must say, to hear the enthusiasm among our Qatari partners for working with India. And again, many of you have shaped their enthusiasm and their image of India. And there too, I think you have done the country proud. Uh, I'm here primarily to listen to you. You are, uh, you live here, you work here. In many ways, you have helped define the image of India in this region. You are all a source of support for us in many ways. So you will have issues and concerns. I would like to hear about that. But I just want to make a few brief points about what is happening at home, because I think as someone who has just come from there and represents the government, it is important that you get the accurate perspective from me. One, I want to share with you a sense that while the pandemic itself has been very tough on India like it has been on the rest of the world. All the effort, the motivation, the leadership, the response of the public, the discipline with which people have reacted, and most of all, the preparations that we did and the practices that we instituted, that has enabled us to actually come through this very difficult period. Today, depending on how you assess the situation, I would say compared to what was the peak of the problem, we are talking of say about July, maybe August. Today, the daily case loads are about say 20% of what the peak was. Uh, and uh, the during the year, during this crisis, we have actually managed to create a health infrastructure to respond to. When the COVID hit us, I mean, there was no PPEs were being made in India, no ventilators were being made in India. There was some mask assembly, not in a very big way, and even the centers to respond to it were really not there. And during the course of the year, we've actually established almost 15,000 dedicated centers to deal with the COVID. So if we have come through it, one part of it has been the motivation and the leadership, especially, how people have responded to Prime Minister's call. And as fellow Indians, you will be impressed by the kind of way the public has actually uh, adapted to the challenges of the COVID. But the other part of it, as I said, has been the preparations which we have made medically and logistically to actually deal with this. So we are now moving to a phase where I think, like the rest of the world, we're all looking at when the vaccine would be introduced. The general sense is that it is not that far away. And obviously, there will be our own uh, sort of regimes and priorities to do so. But there is a sense of, we have been tested, but that sense in the country is, look, we have come through a very difficult, or we are coming through a very difficult period with a strong degree of resolve and a fair degree of confidence in that regard. The second related issue, of course, is the state of the economy. I think all of you would have naturally concerns about it. Many of you would know about it through your own independent contacts and your own activities out here. I think again the general sense is the economy is coming back and coming back very, very strongly. The feeling is that Q3 or Q1, Q2 of this financial year was obviously extremely tough. But the feeling is now uh, all the feedback that we get in terms of critical sectors of the economy have been very positive. There are areas, obviously, where particularly the services sector, the informal sector, where the recovery is not going to be so rapid. But again, there is an economic confidence which is also visible. So there's both the feeling that we can put the pandemic behind us, as well as a sense that the economic consequences of the pandemic can also be put behind us. There are learnings from this. I think the country has become far more digital in many ways. There is a sense that whether it was, to give directly financial resources to people in their bank accounts, or whether to provide, you know, food, so for those who were in need of it on a scale which has been truly unprecedented in history. We have managed very complicated logistical exercise with a lot of efficiency and assurance as well. So the sense of it is that, look, we will come out of it stronger. And one part of that is also that we are shifting gears. What you hear talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is really an expression of a desire to build stronger capabilities at home, so that our participation in global economic activities will be more effective. So there is one of the issues with COVID has been that a lot of countries are redoing their supply chains, looking at onshoring many activities. There are opportunities in this environment, and as I said, I think right now the morale of the country is high, and we do think that Atmanirbhar Bharat will actually address what is a very fundamental issue for us, which is employment-based economic growth. Uh, Here, I can see from the very brief time which and the meetings I had today with business leaders that Qatar is also looking at its own near-term future. They have their own priorities and activities. The, the football, the FIFA, the World Cup is significant among them. And these are opportunities which can help draw the countries closer. I do want to give you that sense that how things are moving at home, a sense that today our relationship with Qatar is strong. I am here to urge them to look at more opportunities, take the relationship to a higher level. Some of these issues, of course, we hope to discuss also at the Pravasi Bharti Divas, which we will be marking again virtually because of the COVID in January. I would look forward to your participation in that and in related events. We will also be focusing increasingly on India at 75 2022. 2022 is as important a year in India as it is in Qatar, of course, for very different reasons. I certainly hope that at your end, all of you would continue to do the good work, continue to contribute, continue to hold India's flag high. And as I said, on this occasion, we have this somewhat distant meeting, but I do hope that on the next, I will have an opportunity to shake your hand. So let me stop there, and Ambassador, perhaps I could listen to the leaders who wish to offer that.
Thank you, sir. We have 8 senior community leaders and eminent personalities from our Indian community waiting to have an interaction with our Honorable Minister. So I invite Babu Rajan, the President of the Indian Community Benevolent Forum. The Indian Community Benevolent Forum was awarded the Praveshya Bharati Samman Award in 2011 as an institution, and ICBF is well known among our community for its service to the needy people. Now I invite Mr. Babu Rajan to speak. Thank you. Babu Rajan ji, please unmute.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister of External Affairs, His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar, His Excellency Dr. Deepak Mittal, Honorable Ambassador of India to Qatar, respected delegates, dignitaries, and community leaders. Good evening. Let me express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency Sri Deepak Mittal for providing us an opportunity to attend today's program. On behalf of the community, especially Indian Community Benevolent Forum, I represent, let me thank for the wholehearted support and guidance extended by the embassy and its entire community coordination system. It was the harmony and unity of a multi-versatile community in Qatar that helped ICBF to fight against the pandemic COVID-19. Irrespective of caste, creed, and geographical differences, many community members and organizations have come forward to support ICBF team in all possible ways. The collective efforts by ICBF and the community wouldn't have been this much effective without the guidance and support from Indian Embassy, especially funding from Indian Community Welfare Fund ICWF. Being one of the experienced community activists, without any doubt, I can affirm the fact that any such pandemic situation can be resisted and defended with the support and coordination from a most vibrant community. His Excellency, with your permission, let me brief about ICBF activities. ICBF, one of the 4 apex bodies under the patronage of Embassy of India, established in 1984, undertakes the noble task of providing succor and solace to the underprivileged members of Indian community in Qatar. Some milestone achievements of ICBF: life insurance policy exclusively for Indians, Qatar 100,000 sum assured with a nominal premium of Qatar 125 with 2 years validity. Free legal clinic, free counseling house catering to all age groups, free medical consultation and medicines for low-paid workers, medical repatriation support, coordination of mortuary remains repatriation. His Excellency, anticipating the great opportunity of this particular program, ICBF would like to appeal to materialize an earnest effort of ICBF for Indian community in Qatar. Temporary shelter home for the deprived community members who lost the job or expelled from employment by medical reason or any. This is very important task, sir. Permanent legal officer at the embassy to sort out the labor issues and provide legal aid to the needy community members. It would help many Indians who are in Qatar jail, though with minor legal issues. Indian expatriates in Qatar are fortunate enough to have a proper centralized community serving system under the embassy. This umbrella system keeps the community harmony with perfect cooperation and coordination among various socio-cultural organizations. Irrespective of regional and cultural diversities, the entire community is getting benefited due to this noble system. Once again, I express my gratitude that I could be a part of this program by representing Indian community through ICBF. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Baburaj. Now I request Mr. Sita Raman, eminent Indian community member, CEO of Doha Bank since 2007, and he is also a Pravasya Bharati Sabhan awardee. And I invite Mr. Sita Raman to speak.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Honorable External Affairs Minister, Your Excellency, Indian Ambassador to Qatar, distinguished guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, the Honorable Minister has mentioned he is looking for economic cooperations, and Qatar's bilateral trade is around 10 to 11 billion. I have got 3 points to make to the Minister. One is the bilateral trade between the Gulf and India itself is over $120 billion. We import, as India, oil, gas, and petrochemicals dominantly. The exports are bare minimum. Now, conceptually, the balance of payment tilting towards the Gulf, and India requires infrastructure investments multi-trillion. My suggestion is linking trade and investments. If you say 400 billion is the annual payment, in order to convert this debt into equity, let's create between the government, Gulf and India Bank, in the same, very similar model to BRICS. Ask for a 5 or 10 years moratorium. Let us put authorized capital of 1 trillion. 5 years you mobilize 500 billion. Let's take this money and put into public-private partnership model, create the infrastructure, and against the infrastructure, create a debt paper, and again, repay this to the respective Gulf governments. That will reorganize the fiscal position. It will create a huge opportunity for the overall infrastructure creation in total terms. The second aspect, perhaps, I should bring across is, again, NRI as a community, also globally, persons of Indian origin put together, as you know, over 35 million people. We all can come together and set up a bank again. This is a minimum capital of 10 billion. 5 billion could be in the government side, and 5 billion could be to start with from the investors across. This will exclusively cater to investments in infrastructure again. In addition to value-added services supporting the non-resident or persons of Indian origins towards India or their own requirements. I think that focus will also stimulate value-based opportunities for non-resident Indians. It is ever growing now. Indians, wherever they are engaged in, as you know, Your Excellency, Indian community has been highly respected for their honesty, integrity, hard work, whichever be the function they are engaged in. And everyone needs Indian skills. So I think it's a good responsive measure the government of India can take. Third thing now, with the changing face of the world, everyone is focusing on the climate change. Recently, when the Prime Minister visited, in UK, the global, he has also consented for the climate fund, Global Green Equity Fund. And Government of India has recently approved their participation as well. I think we should manifest such investments from the Gulf states again, exclusively on the climate investments, climate financing. Qatar Investment Authority has already spelled out, clearly focusing on greener assets. When you meet the government authorities here, perhaps, I'm sure, you will raise this point. So, that's a key point I thought it's appropriate to bring in. And thanks for bringing a very meaningful brand equity in the last 6-7 years, when you were the Foreign Secretary, as well as in today's context, the Prime Minister and the rest of the team has been exemplary in bringing India's eminence as a great brand. And we are proud of being an Indian, our heritage, our culture and civilization. Thank you for the opportunity, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Mr. Sitaraman. The next speaker is President of Indian Sports Center, Mr. Hasan Chokle. He's an educationalist, Professor Bharatiya Samman Awardee, a very senior community member. I invite Mr. Hasan Chokle to speak.
Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Shri Jaishankar ji, my fellow Indians, Ambassador of India, Assalamu alaikum, good evening and namaskaram to all of you. Sir, I am here since 1977, 44 years, NRI in Qatar. Presently, I am a president of Indian Sports Center, and I am an educationist. So I will very briefly speak on two topics and what are the needs of the community. In the Sports Center, because we are one of the largest community in Qatar, around 700,000, and Indian Sports Center provides the platform and the opportunities for entire Indian community, equally for men, women and children. And also we have conducted lots of inter-community tournaments. We are always supportive to the government initiatives on the sports. Today, Qatar has become the sports hub of the Gulf countries. Qatar got one of the best infrastructure of roads and infrastructure for sports. What we are totally supportive for FIFA 2022, and we expect that Qatar, with our support, will also agree to our proposal, because we need to construct one of the sports complex for Indians. And if necessary, we hope that we'll get it. Otherwise, definitely we need a Government of India support to intervene from government to government level to get this, which we may convert it into a community center where all other apex bodies also can be housed. Second theme, I am the founder president of the DPS group of schools. In Qatar, there are 16 Indian schools. Out of that, one is a corporate school, one belongs to Qatar Gas, and 14 are the community schools. community schools are catering the needs of the Indian community. We got around 40,000 students in Qatar. We are providing from KG to standard 12. And fortunately, Qatar government has allowed one Asian or Indian university in Qatar, and we have succeeded in getting an approval for Savitribai Phule Pune University, which will inshallah start by September 2021. The problem, in the COVID pandemic, we have well managed, all the schools have well managed online teaching because that was the need of the hour, and it will continue to do as and when it is required. Our standards of the schools are really high. All the schools are providing multiple languages, regional languages as opportunity to the students. Now, the only one thing which we feel that is our schools, our community schools, our fee bracket is with 500 real on the KG level, and all other Western schools are having 2,500 to 3,000. The government of Qatar applying the standards to all the schools are equal. With this, we are always losing our feasibility or struggling to make it feasible. Government may think of increasing our fee, but we are not interested in that because our community, 60 or 70% of the people may not be able to afford that fee. So we have suggested, once I have accompanied Embassy Education Secretary to Qatar Foundation, and we explained to them that what we need is to downgrade some standard for Asian schools. Downgrading means not in the quality, only where the space is concerned. Because there are 3 rules: 10 square meter per plot per child, 2 square meter in the classroom per child, and 2 parking per classroom. If they reduce partially, at least 20% or 25%, our need will be over. I think that to be taken up on from government to government level, and that will help all the schools to provide further, and there will be no shortage of supply and demand, and we can provide fulfill the needs of everyone. Thank you, and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan Chogle. Now I invite Dr. Mohan Thomas, a very senior community member and renowned doctor and chairman of ICBF Advisory Committee. Now I invite Mr. Mohan Thomas to speak.
Thank you. Honorable Minister Sri Jaishankar ji, we extend you a warm welcome to Qatar. While thanking the Indian Embassy, the Ministry of External Affairs, and Government of Qatar for the excellent support given in the past to the Indian population, a special mention has to be made for the excellent management of the pandemic, of COVID pandemic, jointly by the Embassy of India, Indian community, and Government of Qatar. A special word of mention to the Indian doctors, the nurses, and the paramedics who were the frontline fighters for the same. As a long-term resident of Qatar for the past 4 decades, I see 2 great opportunities for India in Qatar. The first one is in the field of education. Global success stories of the Indian university-educated persons are well known in this host country. While interacting with the local educational heads here, I had seen an interest in them to look towards Indian education model. We have almost 14 Indian schools of repute, and as you heard, Mr. Hassan Chogle and universities coming up. The 3 global giants of Indian education, the IIT, the AIMS, and the IIM, are names very well known in this part of the region. There is a great opportunity for India to make Qatar a hub for providing educational services of these 3 prime educational establishments, not only for Indians and Asians in the region, but also for the Arabs in the Middle East and for students from Africa. The second opportunity is in sports business. As you know, Qatar is slowly turning into the world's sports capital with the forthcoming 2022 FIFA World Cup, 2030 Asian Games, and probable 2032 Olympic Games. While interacting with the Secretary General of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy of 2022 FIFA World Cup, I noticed an interest being created in them to look at India as the future playground for football games. The spectatorship of Indians and the rest of Asia has surpassed the Europe. What after 2022 FIFA World Cup is a big question mark for Qatar. The opportunity of establishing new stadiums, upgrading the old stadiums, owning the clubs, providing international players to the Indian clubs, making sports-related goods under the India's Make India policy of our PM was briefed to them. They have shown positive interest, and in a press interview, the Secretary General, the very next week, told the press about their interest. India needs to place dedicated officials from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Ministry of Commerce with these two agenda, and I'm sure it will be a success story. The good relations of the Indian community here can support to liaise with the host country to achieve this one. May I take this opportunity to congratulate the Indian Ambassador, Excellency Dr. Mittal, and his vibrant team for connecting the leadership of India and Qatar in a pace no one could match. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Now I invite Mr. Azim Abbas, the President of India Business Professional Council. Mr. Azim Abbas.
Honorable His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar, Minister of External Affairs of India, His Excellency Dr. Deepak Mittal, Ambassador of India to State of Qatar, respected officials of the Indian delegation and the Indian Embassy, apex body presidents, members of the Indian community. Good evening. On behalf of Indian Business and Professionals Council and the Indian community, it's my honor and privilege to welcome His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar to Qatar, the land of riches and wealth, not only in financial terms, but in social and cultural terms too. The state of Qatar enjoys a strong relation with the Republic of India. These relations have evolved and grown over the time, stronger and steadier, marked by high-level exchanges between the two countries. These visits have played a pivotal role in boosting and strengthening the bilateral relations between both the countries, which are reflected in their trade and economic relations. Trade exchange between India and Qatar witnessed an excellent growth in the past 2 years. Imports from India have jumped by 100% to almost $1.6 billion. At present, India is considered to be the fourth largest export destination for Qatar. But Ambassador Mittal has been very vocal on this and has conducted many meetings with IBPC and the local business leaders. Ambassador Mittal has very strongly emphasized that imports from India have to improve. And in the coming years, India should be ranked in the list of first two major exporters to Qatar. Trade exchange between Qatar and India have grown. We all have noticed that. We believe that the initiative by His Excellency the Ambassador to form or restructure a joint business council is welcomed by the Indian community and IBPC. Indian Business and Professions Council, IBPC, started its operation in the year 1999 and worked under the aegis of Embassy of India with His Excellency Ambassador of India as its patron, and is registered as a professional body with the Qatar Financial Center, QFC. A managing committee that represents the general body interacts with prominent business and trade officials in Qatar. Since its inception, IBPC has grown and is well recognized by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, Ministry of Transport and Communication, Qatar Chamber of Commerce, Qatar Financial Center, Qatar Free Zone Authority, and many more institutions where IBPC conducts brainstorming sessions, seminars, roadshows, and many events on monthly and annual basis. IBPC's mission is to promote trade and commerce and formation of manufacturing and trade joint ventures between India and Qatar, and promoting investment in either country on bilateral basis. Our vision is to become a trusted partner for Indian companies to guide and support them to do business in Qatar and in India. Indian community is the largest expatriate group in Qatar. Indian professionals and laborers in Qatar are making their contribution in different sectors. Prominent among them, the projects associated with the hosting of Qatar 22 FIFA World Cup and the 2030 Asian Games. India Indians are highly respected in Qatar for their sincerity, hard work, technical expertise, law-abiding nature, and are employed in almost every local establishment, government, or in various capacities in the private sector. IBPC strongly believes that the visit of Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar will boost and enhance the Indo-Qatar bilateral relationship and take it to greater heights. IBPC wishes His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar and the Indian delegation a successful and pleasant visit to Qatar and thanks the Embassy of India for giving the Indian community the opportunity to interact with His Excellency the Minister. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Azim Abbas. Now I invite Mr. Manigandan, President of Indian Cultural Center, to speak.
Honorable Minister, His Excellency Dr. Jaishankar ji, Honorable His Excellency our Ambassador Dr. Deepak Mittal ji. First of all, I would like to express our thanks to the Honorable Ambassador Dr. Deepak Mittal ji and team to give us such a wonderful opportunity. Indian Cultural Center is an apex body of Indian expatriate community functioning under the patronage of Indian Embassy for the purpose of advancement of socio-cultural activities in this region for last 28 years. It is also serves an umbrella organization for all socio-cultural associations of Indian community in Qatar. And as of now, 90 associations are associated with the ICC. Indian Cultural Center is committed to promote and foster India's rich cultural heritage among Qatari and other expatriate communities in Qatar. During Qatar India Cultural Year 2019, ICC coordinated the cultural events and also organized Indian Community Festival in the month of January 2020 under the guidance of Embassy of India and wholehearted support of Qatar government. The two-day-long event was attended by more than 25,000 people along with Qatari community. And also ICC could take the lead of the arrangement of issuing tickets for the Vande Bharat flight in the pandemic time. Though Indian community is the largest expatriate community in Qatar, it lacks a common community center, including recreational facilities and an auditorium which can accommodate at least 1,000 people. Community center will be the center of all apex bodies under the embassy and also for the Indian community at large. At present, we have only a small hall in Indian Cultural Center. We can accommodate maximum 350 people, which is not at all sufficient, as most of the associations affiliated in ICC has more than 500 members. Dear Excellency, on behalf of Indian community in Qatar, I would like to request your kind support and intervention to achieve our dream. With the patronage of our Ambassador Dr. Deepak Mittal, we have formed a committee and we are working for a common community center. So we would like to your support and intervention for the achievement of our goal. Once again, thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Manigandan. Now I request Mr. Sasidharan to speak. He is here in Qatar for 42 years. He is a very senior community member here. He is the founder member of Science India Forum as well as Punarajni. Now I invite Mr. Sasidharan to speak.
Honorable External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar ji, His Excellency Ambassador of India to Qatar, Deepak Mittal ji, Namaskar to all. I have been here for more than 42 years. Now, I am pleased to know that Honorable Minister is willing to take time from his busy schedule to convey special gratitude to the state of Qatar for taking care of Indians during the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to add that the care and support provided by the hospitals in Qatar, especially HMC and NCCR, is not limited to COVID-19 pandemic, but always extended to all patients with chronic illness, regardless their nationality. They deserve a big salute, sir. I have been experiencing this myself as a patient for last 15 months. One of the primary activities of Punarjini, which is affiliated under ICBF and working under the leadership of Govindji, is to help repatriate patients with chronic illness to India in cooperation with Indian hospitals of various states and places. Their cooperation is very much essential to conduct this service. We would be grateful if Your Excellency look into this matter and arrange to provide necessary assistance from the hospitals in India. I want to request 2-3 points and bring to your attention. More NRI, I will just points I will mention because of time constraint. More NRI participation in Atmanirbhar mission. I think the NRI participation is not up to the mark. And here, more than 100 Indian scientists are living in Qatar. It's a surprise for us also. We now trying to organize them. They are ready to contribute for the development of their mother country, India. We have made good rapport with Qatar Foundation scientists who have very high appreciation about India's contribution in science and technology, especially space science. Request to arrange visit of scientists from India to Qatar and vice versa. One more point was there. It is already mentioned by Hasan Chaglaji and Dr. Thomas, so I am not repeating it about the universities. An Indian super specialty hospital and an Ayurvedic hospital. Now Qatar has approved Ayurveda as a standard mode of healing. A yoga teachers training center. These are my some humble request I am submitting for the consideration of the Honorable Minister and the Government of India. Thank you, sir. And Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Sasidharan. Now I request Dr. Farooq Bhatt, a senior Indian community member from Kashmir. He is here for 31 years. He has been very supportive in the community service. And now I invite Dr. Farooq Bhatt.
The Honorable Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, Your Excellency, the Ambassador, Embassy officials, delegation from India who have accompanied the Minister of External Affairs, presidents of the apex bodies, distinguished virtual audience, ladies and gentlemen. It has been my honor and pleasure to have been afforded an opportunity to be part of this august gathering. I come from a state of Jammu and Kashmir, and being a very small community in Qatar, and during the COVID-19, we had quite a few hundreds of people stranded here who had come on visit visas and had come to join the families of their sons and daughters. And there was a tremendous stress during the time for the inhabitants of different states and were petrified and desperate to reach their destinations. And the way Government of India meticulously planned and flawlessly executed the repatriation flights was incredible and praiseworthy. The relief and the succor the elderly, the children, and the women got from the anxiety resulted in the smiles on their faces and praise for the local community and our embassy's comprehensive efforts. Though a small community, the embassy was magnanimous to arrange 3 hopping flights to Srinagar. And honestly speaking, there were the moments of joy and surprise for the inhabitants of Jammu and Kashmir when they came to know that the repatriation flights were arranged. Honorable Minister, our gratitude to you and your team for the help and support expended to Indian nationals in the dire situation. I have 2 requests to make to yourself and to be conveyed to the Government of India is that to promote tourism in Jammu and Kashmir, we require support and enthusiasm of the Government of India so that they can bring the delegation to the Gulf countries for the promotion so that the people from here will travel to the paradise on earth is Jammu and Kashmir, and we both will be benefited by these visits. Second thing is, if it is possible for the airlines after the COVID to have at least 1 direct flight to Srinagar, it may also have maybe a hopping flight, but at least they don't have to get down at Delhi to go back to their home state. We sincerely wish you progress in your visit and success in your endeavors to support Indian diaspora. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farooq Bhatt. Sir, we have questions from the representatives. In constraint of time, I'll take up 2 questions from the audience, sir. Mr. Jutas Paul, you can throw your questions. Then I'll come to Katie Jaco. Mr. Jutas Paul.
Good evening, Your Excellencies, leaders and members of the community. Thank you, Your Excellency, the Ambassador and officials at the Embassy for the opportunity to interact with the Honorable Minister. Thank you, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister Dr. Jaishankar ji, for your visit to Qatar. We are sure your visit shall strengthen the Indo-Qatar ties and benefit Indian community in Qatar. We are very glad and privileged to hear from you what is happening back in India. We, the Indian community, is very happy in Qatar as our embassy and Qatar government is taking good care of us. Sir, I would like to bring a few points to your attention. Those are major community demands pending for quite long that hasn't been fulfilled yet. Those points were taken up with the Qatar government by Indian Embassy and Sushma Swaraj ji during her last visit to Qatar. On behalf of the Indian community in Qatar, I would like to request your kind attention to those points and take up the request of the community with the Qatar authorities and influence for a positive decision and action, as we are one of the largest expat community in Qatar. So those points are allocation of land to build temple for our Hindu brethren staying in Qatar, and also allocation of land for Indian community to build a common community center. Thank you, Your Excellency, for the opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Jutas Pal. Now I request Katie Jaco, the Deputy Managing Editor of Gulf Times, to throw his question.
Good evening, Honorable Minister. Thank you for visiting Qatar. Your Excellency, the relations between India and Qatar are excellent. This everybody knows. I would like to ask, how does this visit help take bilateral relations to the next level of excellence? Thank you.
Mr. Chaco. Sir, we had the eminent personalities speech for eight eminent personalities speech, and two members from the community they had a question. Now I invite Hon'ble Minister's response for this. Thank you, sir.
First of all, let me say that it was very educative, very interesting to listen to all of you. I have made careful note of many of the points you have raised. Some of them relate to your expectations of the Indian government and Indian embassy. Some of them relate to things you would like us to take up with the Qatari authorities. I certainly will, frankly, uh, uh, some of that was my intention even earlier, but after hearing you, that intention has got strengthened. So please be assured that, many of the practical issues about community welfare, whether we should be doing more or we should be working more closely with the Qatari authorities, either way, we are prepared to look at it. You've seen that, in terms of using the Indian Community Welfare Fund more imaginatively, we have really progressed in the last few years. It has stood us in very good stead at this very difficult time of the COVID pandemic. But there were a few issues which I do want to address a little bit more in detail. One, I think some of the financial, suggestions which were made, not financial, the investment suggestions which were made, I will certainly go back and discuss it with my colleagues who deal with those issues back home. The point was also made whether all of you could uh, uh, contribute to or help in sourcing more imports from India. Now, I want to tell you that that was actually something I discussed today, even at the business roundtable, because what the COVID has done is COVID has made us all much more conscious about health security, about the ability to source medicines, medical supplies. It has made the Gulf very conscious about food security. And during this period, we have actually gone the extra mile to ensure that health professionals who had to work here could come here, that the supplies, especially during Ramzan time, which we had committed to provide, were, so that at times of difficulty, we didn't want to add to people's problems, but actually take away from that. So I do think that the climate is right. People are beginning to see international partnerships in a very different way, and they will look for solutions perhaps more practically than they would a year ago. So certainly, whether it is suggestions to harness the investment potential of NRIs, or proposals to expand the exports from India to Qatar, both these I think are very worthwhile ideas to look at. Also, the point which Shashidharan ji made about Atmanirbhar Bharat, he raised this issue of whether scientists here can contribute. I feel yes, they can certainly, but I would also urge you to look beyond that. I think Atmanirbhar Bharat really will mean new opportunities in India, and new opportunities in a range of issues. So I would like you, because you people, the one thing which I heard today was how well the Qatari-Indian partnership has functioned, how that there is a sense in Qatar that look, we understand the Indian thinking, the Indian psyche, the Indian work culture, the Indian way. How do you harness that and make yourselves a more effective living bridge, which will strengthen Atmanirbhar Bharat? I think that is something I would really urge you to do. I think you would certainly do the country a great service by doing that. For Farooq Bhattji on the Srinagar flight, I will go back and certainly pass that along to my colleague in civil aviation. As I said, in terms of the community demands, many of them I'm aware of, and let us see, my official discussions are tomorrow. And the question really came at the end, Mr. Chako raised, okay, what are you really going to do to take the relationship to the next level? And my sense of that is, the opportunities which will arise in India, whether it's opportunities which will happen through natural economic growth and economic recovery, whether additional opportunities which will happen because of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The fact that, all countries in the world, including Qatar, would like to de-risk the world and, perhaps spread out a lot of their investments and business interests. I think the climate is right if you can, capture this moment, flag to the right people the importance of the new possibilities that there are. And I mentioned health security and food security as two examples. Even in India, I mean, look, the fact is, again, I think Mr. Sitaraman mentioned climate financing. But look at the direction of the climate debate itself. I think that itself will contribute much more to India becoming a gas-based economy. And that's a very, very relevant factor to our relationship with Qatar. So my task is really lay out the landscape, get people here to understand, okay, these are the changes in India. These are the new possibilities in India. These are the partnerships which could potentially be forged. This is where India also can be useful to Qatar. I think that's also part of what I need to communicate when I'm here. That how can we contribute to Qatar's economic growth and security? So I will certainly be doing all of that, and I'm confident, given the tremendous strides that the relationship has made in the last few years, that I would have a good response. I have had a few conversations with my own counterpart in recent days, and he's been very, very positive. In fact, part of the reason I'm here is also he was very encouraging about my coming. I will certainly do my best, as I said, to make sure that the post-COVID world is also has a much stronger India-Qatari partnership as one of its elements. And once again, I thank you all for taking the time out today. And I again do want to assure you that the embassy, and particularly under this ambassador, in whom we all have so much confidence, that the embassy will certainly do its utmost to ensure that your concerns and your interests are effectively addressed. Perhaps, Ambassador, you might want to add.
Thank you, sir. It's a really honor and privilege to hear His Excellency External Affairs Minister. And as mentioned by Honorable Minister, we have taken complete note of all expectations which the community has from the embassy. And I want to assure, in the presence of the Honorable Minister, that the embassy remains committed to continue to work for the welfare of the community across the board. And we have certain initiatives which we are taking with the support of the community here in Qatar. And we will look forward to making progress on that in coming times, sir. And certainly the visit of Honorable Minister would as Mr. Chako asked, would certainly is a new feather in the relationship, because I am confident that this will open up a new chapter in coming days, months, and years ahead, of where the relationship progresses to new heights. Thank you very much, sir, for being sharing and being available. I know because paucity of time, we could not have more questions and interaction with the community. But as you promised, we will certainly look forward to next opportunity, to your next visit, to have, as they say here, inshallah, a physical meeting and more closer interaction with everyone. Thank you once again, Honorable Minister, and thank you for the members of the Indian community for joining today. Thank you.
Xavier sir, thank you very much. Well organized.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Ajim sir, hello sir. This is Vidya here.
Yes,
hello.
Yes, please.
About this UPDA certification issue, there is a progress of that degree issue.
Just now, I put Vidyaji, I put also the chat group. Satar speaking.
Yeah,
Same thing.
sir, how are you, sir?
Thank you. Same, we are facing this problem as himself. Yes. Already, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with Ambassador, and we raised also the same point, this UPD exam support.
We've been discussing. I think